Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
And I'm going to rant a little, but in that ranting I'm going to paint a picture of utopia.
You paint that picture.
I'm going to take you through a world where we get rid of all the things that no one likes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're ripping off a quite popular show on television, so we can't actually name it for legal purposes. But for this, maybe we call it Room 103?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to think of a clever name today, like Crossing Swords.
I think you nailed it.
I
think you nailed it. Room 103.
Yeah, I think...
the pause beforehand really sold it.
Yeah, so, basically me and Jake have written down some stuff we would like to get rid of from the world permanently, and I suppose we're going to either debate it or agree with one another. I mean, knowing this pod, it's probably going to be mostly agreeing with one another.
It's going to be a solid 40 minutes or an hour of us just going, absolutely, get rid of it.
We disagree on the most random stuff as well. Like, it'll be something you're not expecting to be contentious. Like last week, it was to do with me saying that sausage rolls and Cornish pasties were similar to wraps because they require baking.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even close. And we're just going to look. You've already triggered me.
I know.
We're early doors.
He's like, oh, you've brought up my worst nightmare.
It is like trauma. It is like just constantly reminding someone of their trauma.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Right, so who wants to start things off?
I don't mind. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
So the first one I put was premium service. That didn't work. Charging for a premium service on a streaming platform you're already paying for.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, for example, on Disney at the moment.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes.
Disney Premium and whatever it is, and charging you extra money for even more films when the whole thing they advertised
you've got
the entire library.
No, 100%. Oh my god! Do you know what it is? It's like if it was because there are obviously things like Spotify and YouTube and stuff that are free anyway. And I'm sure they'll make the list at some point. There's stuff that they do that annoy me as well, but. I mean, I don't really use Spotify, but that's neither here nor there. All our Spotify listeners, big shout out, right? But they're free, and then you get a basic service and you pay for more. If I'm paying for something already, I want everything.
No, I think that's
fair. And I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
no, and that's
absolutely.
The point. I'm with you on that. Hundo.
Yeah, when I saw it recently, I didn't really think about it at first, and I was like, motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
And the reason they've done that, I get why they've done it, because they lost the cinema revenue.
Because they're fucking Disney. That's why they did it, the greedy little bastards.
Yeah, well, the cinema revenue's back now, so fuck it off and get rid of it and give us all your films.
No, but even then they were charging, like when Black Widow and that came out, they just charged you to see the film, and they did it on a film-by-film basis.
£13 or something like that.
But just, if the cost of a cinema ticket and whatever.
Well, no, it was double the cost of a cinema ticket.
Okay, yeah, it was more than a cinema ticket, but you get it for like a week and you can watch it again and again. I'm not saying I agree with that, but in principle, that is better than charging a premium for the service.
Yeah, it pissed me off that you're already paying, what is it, £6 to £8 for the service, and then they're like, oh, just an extra £6 and you can have all this. Go fuck yourselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
No, right.
Give us one of yours.
Okay, so you'll see that this list kind of degenerated quickly. So I was like, okay, what can I come up with? And then what it just became was it went on. I did come up with things. Number one, plastic cheese. Just don't like it.
Plastic cheese, what, not like on a burger? Nothing.
Just, like that comes in like cellophane.
I know exactly
squares
of burger
off. You just don't like them,
burger slices.
Just use proper cheese or don't use cheese.
So what about
and even more than that,
right?
Cheese in a can. If your cheese is in a can,
but
your civilization is backwards. All right, this is more aimed at the North Americans. It's more aimed at America.
We don't really have that.
I've got another one on here that's aimed at America. If you want me to knock that off the list while we're here,
no, we'll get to that. Calm yourself down. Slow down.
Cheese in a can. Cheese should not be in a can.
And you don't like plastic cheese, like the burger slices?
I don't like plastic cheese.
Right. So do you like McDonald's, right? I mean, at the moment, I know you're on a health kick, but previously you like McDonald's.
Yeah, all right.
Would you have them take the cheese off of the burgers then?
No, but it would be something that if they had proper cheese, it would improve it.
Right. But you're happy with it in that context?
I'm not saying like I won't eat it. So you're making a huge mistake
you're talking about you want to, it's gone forever from everything.
Yeah, but they can. It's not like there's no cheese ever. We can substitute with proper cheese.
Yeah, but do you really think McDonald's are going to do that, or are they just going to invent a different plastic cheese?
Just get one of the chefs slicing up cheese at the start of the day. Bosh, done.
I think you're underestimating how much extra that. Like, for example, I know that this is a ridiculous stat to know, but
I'm already in love with it.
But McDonald's got rid of one slice of cheese from their double cheeseburger. It was like about 10 years ago. And do you want to know how much money that saved them per year?
Probably billions. Go on.
220 million getting rid of one slice of cheese. If you think they're now going to start paying for someone to stand there and slice it,
I'll tell you this: I'd pay a little bit more for McDonald's because McDonald's are quite cheap as it is. I mean, they're getting a bit out of the hand. Like, let's be honest, they're taking the piss a bit more and more.
It's pushing up, but then
So is
the
everything.
alternatives. Like,
I would pay a little bit more for a proper cheese in my burger.
I think the thing McDonald's has going for it, considering like the burgers, for example, aren't as good as Burger King's burgers.
It's very quickly become a pro and anti
It's the
McDonald's.
price. So my concern is if you start adding more expensive ingredients, it becomes less accessible to the masses.
Plastic cheese and particularly cheese in a can.
Fair enough. Well, look, I just wanted there to be I'm playing devil's advocate here.
But
I
regardless
personally
of
don't
bias,
have an issue with
would
it.
you?
I think it has a place in the world.
You're not bothered by it. You're not absolutely offended by it.
No, because like it comes with my double sausage egg McMuffin.
That's Brexit. That is. 'Cause if you were European, you'd be absolutely horrified by it.
Well, certainly I'm not horrified.
And you're not
by it.
European anymore.
I'm on board with it. But do you know what? I'll let you get rid of it. If anything,
thanks.
it will help me lose weight. I think the Big Mac will never be the same, but so be it.
I can live with that.
Right. What's my next one going to be? This one's topical. Second jobs for MPs.
Well, yeah. There's something about that just really, really reminds me. Do you know what? I genuinely got really angry this week because there was an MP.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
Do you know the interview?
Yeah, where he did one interview where he said.
I mean, this is going back a while, where he said
defending cutting the £20 uplift.
And this is what he said about it. He said with the £20 a week extra that they put onto universal credit, and then they were taken off, which I appreciate was a temporary measure. But when he talked about that, and he said, I appreciate that a lot of people will like that £20, but they don't necessarily need it.
Yeah. And then
cut to him now earning £82,500.
Advocating that MPs should, it's a delicate matter because we've got to remember we're talking about human beings
with families,
and it's like, what the fuck?
And I mean, the contrast is insane. And I was like, even if he didn't earn another job, because I was doing this thing, so I was like, okay, fair enough. MPs, it's a short lifespan. You get. Minimum you get is 5 years, and that's if you don't fuck up. No, and that's fair enough. But let's say 5 years, right?
It's the same.
Do you know how long it would take me to earn what they earn in a 5 year period?
Oh, mate,
20.
Yeah.
No, I sat down and worked out. It's about 20, a little over 20 years.
And they're saying they can't manage on it.
And I earn more than they do on the universal credit side. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot, but yeah, 100%. Bin them off. Bin them off. They don't need them.
Your one next then?
Ooh. Shall I go my other American one?
Yeah, go on.
Right, not putting tax on stuff in shops so that nothing costs as much as the price on the tag. That shouldn't be allowed.
What?
Are you not aware of this?
No.
So in shops in America, where we add on like VAT,
so it's included in the price here. You mean?
They don't. So you'll see something that's advertised for like $7, but then when you get to the till, it's like $9 or $10 because they've added the VAT at point of sale. And it's like you have to do all this mental maths just to work out if you can afford something in a shop. It's like bollocks to that. Just put the price on it. We can do it because we do it. We do it.
It basically that's to lull people into
it's a false sense of it's cheaper.
Yeah, no, that's
that should be. You can agree that's mugged off.
I mean, considering we already live that way here, I'm happy for everyone else to live the same as us.
It should be. I don't know why it isn't. It's so frustrating.
Right. My next one is slightly political as well, I guess.
Is it Boris Johnson?
No, I'd get that was too obvious. I'd get rid of tax on work-based pensions. So what I believe is, if you pay pension in now for your adult life, for me, I think that the government should reward that.
And you're already paying tax as it is.
Well, no, on your work. So what happens is, it was explained to me. I could be wrong. Is that before tax is taken out, they take the pension out first, so then it's still taxable upon your retirement.
Yeah.
So the money you pay. But I basically don't want anyone to have to pay tax on a pension.
No, but I agree.
Through money they've earned from work.
No, but I know obviously they take it out and it's worked out later, and it's kind of like the US tax on sales thing. But if you've spent your life paying tax, the hell should I be paying tax?
Well, one of the reasons they push us to pay into a pension is that when we retire, we're less reliant on the state. How about rewarding that and not punishing us later down the line?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my other one.
No, I'll get rid of that. That's fair. Let me. I'm just going to delete these as I go.
My other one, I put people who call wraps a sandwich.
In what context, though?
Well, like last week, mate. You were trying to put wraps in a sandwich, Colin.
Oh, no, I've just got rid of one. I just deleted one by mistake.
Jake's
no, look.
guys.
Yeah, I'll admit. No, it depends on the context. But wraps are not a sandwich as such. But I see that's your continuation from last week, is it?
It is, yeah, it's just a little dig. Another one
Get
is
him in, mate.
no account verification online. So I think in today's society, being online plays such a large part. We even get, like, our careers can be affected by who we are online, but yet people are allowed to say whatever they like without being able to verify who they are, and you can't catch them. So I think at any account where you are representing yourself, you should have to verify who you are.
See, now I don't agree with this.
Fair enough.
Because I agreed with this. I mean, we could do a whole episode on this. So I agreed with this in principle. When I first thought about it and heard about it, I was like, yeah, that's great. Then someone started to talk to me about it, and I was like, no, you're absolutely right. Once you start to pull at the threads, you realise how bad that is. So, one, you are excluding people who are in manipulative situations. So I've just realised I've left the window open. Who are in manipulative situations who don't necessarily have full control over their stuff. Two, you, in terms of you talking about verification, actual ID and stuff in this country is quite expensive at times, so you're excluding a lot of the poorer people from being able to afford that kind of stuff.
Well,
also, there's a lot of stuff.
Of my other ones as well.
Well, no, I'm sure, but also there's a lot of people who use various social media accounts who are perfectly good people who use them to express sides that they aren't able to express in other sides of life.
Yeah.
So particularly a lot of LGBT people will use their social media accounts to express those LGBT sort of desires, isn't the right word, that personality, that side of them, when they're not actually out and open to anyone else in their normal offline life, and so on and so forth.
There
so I
could
think
be
there's
layers of security. I'm not saying that necessarily the name they put out there, but in terms of, like, Twitter could hold on to it, for example, the information of each person.
I wouldn't trust Twitter with my information. I think they're so unregulated, these social media companies.
Well, then you
they are their own micronation, not even micronations, major nations.
No, I just think people need to be more accountable.
I agree that there needs to be more accountability, but I think once you start to pull at the thread of that idea, it falls apart as there's no real practical way to put it into effect at the moment.
Well, it has a lot of moving parts, but it doesn't mean it's impossible.
I just don't think there's a working model at the moment.
Fair enough. I disagree, but...
right, homework. Getting rid of homework. It's just bad for the parents, really. It's just stress for parents.
Yeah, I don't really care enough to disagree on that one, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, my sister, I said last week, or the other week, it came up before, that, to be honest, the kids constantly fight their parents over it. The kids don't want to do it. The parents don't want to do it.
Parents have to learn things.
I'm pretty sure most teachers don't give a shit. So no, I'd bin it off as well.
Oh no, I'll tell you, I've got one related to when you said about verification. I did think I've got one verification, online verification, right? Those bot checkers, when there's a little...
I'm not a
general,
robot.
But I'm not a robot, where they show up, I'll click all the things with traffic lights in, and then there's a little bit of traffic light in, like another one in the square, and you're like, I don't know whether I click that or not. Am I going to be punished for that?
Yeah.
Because you're like, technically,
it
is in there.
Light. Yeah, I just do it.
Yeah, those I'll get rid of them.
That's fine, I'm on board with that. One to just quickly pop off, and it linked to what we were just saying before. Fees for passport, or introduce a national ID that is free for people, so they do have a form of ID that verifies who they are. If not, cut fees for passports, so everyone could apply and have their own passport. And
yeah, it's ridiculous that
it shouldn't cost nearly £100 to get a passport, and that's if you're lucky enough to know someone who's on the list of people that can sign your passport photos.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've got to pay another £20 on top to get your GP to sign it. That's if you have a GP surgery.
Yeah, no, that was quite funny. I queued up ages in the post office recently. Queues in the post office, they can go in the fucking...
Yeah.
Post offices that only hire one person to sit behind the counter all day, they can go in the fucking room 101. No, and I queued up ages, and the guy got to the front, and he was like, yeah, you... And she was like, you haven't verified it? And he was like, you can verify it. And I was like, and they were like, no, we don't do that. And this is where I knew it was going to be a long one. He said, well, you should. And it's like, oh, well, here we go then. Oh, right, they should.
Yeah. No, I like that.
That was like, oh, it's a long one. Okay, I've got one.
Yep.
Companies that advertise jobs without salaries, i.e. the ones that say like competitive salaries,
Yeah.
why don't you want to tell me how much you're paying?
It's clearly not competitive.
There's loads of reasons. One, it's so that they can pay as little as possible to each candidate based on the experience or the expectations of their salary. So if you say, I'm only earning 19,000, they're like, fucking 19,000, we were going to offer like 28, but fuck it, we'll offer you 21 and you've got yourself a bonus.
Yeah.
And also so that they don't have to show current employees what they're willing to pay for the job that they're doing.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, can they do that now?
Yep.
I didn't know that was... I thought, like, if you were in a big company and you have the same job role as someone else, at lower level, I know management, it's usually different, but in terms of, like, the base level of an employee, they should all be on the same wage, shouldn't they?
Only if they're on, like... only if the company set out a base standard rate of pay.
Oh, and if they haven't...
If they haven't...
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I think that is dirty.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
And you know what? I just don't apply to them. Any job that says competitive salary, I'm like, no. If you're not willing to tell me what it is, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, because what it is basically it's them being honest. Well, they're not even being honest about it. They're just trying to do
what it is a
dickish penny pinching move.
We'll pay you a competitive salary. It's right. Well, then you're not going to pay me as much as I want for the job.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it.
That's fair. Right, self-service tills.
Interesting. Well, I don't mind a self-service
till. The reason I say that is because the amount of people they're putting out of a job.
No, and I get that.
For example, I know for a fact, and this was just in the company I worked for, that for one self-service till per week, our store lost 40 hours of labour. Yeah. So that is a full-time member of staff gone per week for that till. And we had 2 put in, so that meant we lost 2 full-time members of staff. And now, if you go into a supermarket, you'll see 15 self-service tills and maybe 2 or 3 people on the main bank till. And I just think...
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I think generally the supermarkets that I've been in, it's been a relatively balanced thing. Obviously not in terms of the amount that you're losing for a till, but it's been relatively like there's been about as many people on actual tills as there are on self-service. Because also you go into the thing and you go to the self-service thing and there's like 3 tills, but 2 of them don't work. One of them's stores, cash only.
Perhaps in smaller stores, but I would say in general, and I've been going to Asda and Sainsbury's and Tesco recently, and every time I've gone into one, there's normally one person on the self-service till to manage like 15 to 20 self-scans.
Oh, I see what you mean, one per... Yeah.
And then on the main tills, you might only have 3 tills open for the whole store, and the rest are all self-service.
I don't know, or maybe it's the times I'm going at, but there's usually more...
Well, I've been going all sorts of times throughout the day. So.
Yeah, and I would say I appreciate that, and obviously for those same reasons I can agree to it, but I don't mind it. It's for smaller purchases. I don't mind them.
I think in smaller stores it would be more justified, but I think in larger stores where people are doing larger shops, there's less. So you're gonna
really hate the scan and pay, scan as you go.
No, that I don't mind as much because I don't think as many people use it as people use.
Not yet, but obviously once it gets to a point where people are using it.
No, I don't think they have the same effect. I mean, I don't know. I've never had any first-hand experience to know how much that takes away from a business. I don't know. So I can't make that argument.
Oh, no, that's fair enough. Interesting. Self-service tills. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very socialist.
Well, yeah. And also because I saw the impact it had, like instantly our store started struggling in terms of how much you could get done because the company was giving us less time to get everything done. Despite the fact the self-service tills, if anything, caused a small hassle than they solved in that particular store anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Right, this one is quite specific to our local area. A lot of and like given that we every now and then we see like a rough look of where people are listening from, most of you won't get this.
Right.
Southern Rail. Southern Rail can go into room 101.
I mean, that's hard, man, because I've never really had any issues with Southern Rail. None of my trains are ever delayed. They're never cancelled.
Literally, I mean, when I was getting the train to uni,
you'd be putting our mate Alex out of a job.
Nah, fuck him. He can get another job.
Wow.
There's other trains.
You heard it here first, Joe. I'm trying to save people jobs by getting rid of machines. Jake's happily losing people their jobs.
Hey, Southern Rail are costing me my job.
Turning into a Tory, mate.
Like, I do jobs, I'll be like, I can't take that. I'd have to get on a Southern Rail train. They're shockingly unreliable, though.
I mean, I know they're notoriously bad, so I'm not going to try and argue that Southern are doing well.
Yeah, when I went to uni, like, so in
I
my
just don't personally have an issue with
like
them.
at one point I was getting the train in the morning and the afternoon, and like on the way there and on the way back, and I got to tell you, at least one of those would be delayed.
I remember you telling me at the time you used to be raging.
And it got to the point where I was like, it's actually quicker because of the delays. It's quick for me to just get a bus home, a couple of buses,
Then
and sit in the traffic, because at least the traffic's consistent.
Yeah.
Southern Rail is the last thing you could label at Southern Rail is consistency.
Right, fair enough. I'd
have to say to our listeners, trust me, they're worth their place.
Fair enough. Right, my next one is people moaning about VAR. I've had enough of it. I'm sick of hearing it on podcasts. I'm sick of seeing it on the telly. Sick of all the fan groups and Twitter things. Everything's about VAR every week, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's hard for me to say I don't mind VAR. It's all about the people working it.
Yeah, but I'm just sick about hearing people moan about it. I don't want to get rid of VAR. VAR can stay. I think VAR is a good thing. But
people who moan about VAR are going into room 101.
Yeah.
It's good. The football ground's going to be empty.
No, I think, yeah, maybe, but I don't care. Other people will come.
They'll be empty but positive.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of rousing.
There'll be a lot of real optimism.
Love and support. There'll be no, but I reckon you'll cure the racism problem in this country.
You'll also probably boost referees' self-esteem. There's probably loads of people, 12.
They're not getting called a cunt
12 people sitting around the ground going, that ref's a decent chap, isn't he? That's a tough job.
He's doing his best.
My gosh, yes. Yeah. Go, ref.
How do you feel about it? Do you think they should go?
What people who moan about VAR?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like, a big part of football for me growing up and even now is there's always something to moan about at the end of the week, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it used to be referees' decisions, and now it's still referees' decisions. But it's the
not,
VAR. It's like, how can VAR not pick that up? How are VAR not getting this? And how would VAR do give that? I kind of it'd put pundits out of a job.
No, there's always stuff to talk about. We had stuff to talk about before VAR.
Oh, ref decisions.
Yeah. The thing is, the amount of times I watch football games now, and you'll see a moment where people are like, VAR shit. And it's like, yeah, but that goal would have been given before. That, you'd have been fucked. Do you know what I mean? Or that wouldn't have been a red card, or, you'd have been fucked over, and then you'd have been arguing that you needed VAR. So.
Listen, it's not perfect because obviously.
No, but it's going to improve.
No, yeah. Well, maybe in other countries.
Fair enough.
I really don't come across as a patriot on this, do I?
No, you don't. Well, you've made it quite clear you want to leave this country. So.
Yeah, no, fair point. Right, you ready?
Yep.
The next thing that I put into Room 101, people who don't listen to this podcast.
103, Jay. All you kept saying this entire
hell.
podcast is Room 101.
Because I got it labelled on my phone. I'm so sorry. The lawyers can at me.
You're paying.
We all know I'm not. I'll find a way out of it. They can listen to the first episode of this, and I offer very lucrative.
What do you think you
offers.
won't get done for being?
No, not to give them a handy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, people who don't listen to this podcast, Room 101, Room 103. Fuck it, I'm in now.
The problem is, though, if you do that, the podcast never grows.
Oh, what an excellent comeback.
Yeah.
What an excellent... People who are never going to listen to this podcast can go into the Room 103.
That's fairer. People who wouldn't... like. I'm sure, though, if you went up to everyone on the planet, everyone had a gun put to their head and said, if you now don't become a listener of Crossing Swords, you're going to die, then I think it goes up. But yeah, if you get rid of everyone who currently doesn't listen to the podcast, we're never going to grow. But we might become one of the most successful podcasts, or then all our listeners go to a competitor.
Well, I would say I think we've let power go to our heads if we're at the point where we're holding guns to everyone in the world's head and saying you need to listen to our podcast.
They do need to, though.
Although it'd be very, very
really nice.
It'd be very, very like modern day world leaders of us to be really pushing our second jobs.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm going to do if I do ever find a job again is I'm going to just, wherever I'm working, go up to people, hand them like a Crossing Swords business code
or a business code. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, all they're going to see is the pod where touching tips isn't frowned upon. They're going to go, what the fuck?
and then they're like, they turn around and you've got the gun out.
Yeah, no. Scan it.
Yeah, listen.
They're like, is that going? I was like, no. Yes. Right, my next one was people who do noisy shit at unsociable times.
Yep.
Like, right, I hope he doesn't.
Perfect fucking world we're creating, by the way, getting rid of all these people.
Unlikely they're going to listen to this, but my neighbour currently, every Saturday morning at like any time between 6 and 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning decides that's the time to go and empty his recyclables.
Or like all the glasses and stuff.
But he does it one at a time and places them, but you still hear like a ding.
Oh, what
ding.
a dick.
And the worst part is my bedroom's downstairs. It's in what the garage used to be. It was converted years ago. And he puts his bin on the back of their front garden.
So it's
literally
like right
under my window. And me and my girlfriend every weekend are like, fuck's sake, man. So yeah, and also I walked out there one morning at like 5 a.m. and he was washing his car and it was pitch black. It was just unnecessary. Do you know what I mean?
That is upsetting. I think he's got something wrong with that. He's got like some kind of compulsion. Yeah, no, and also when you get people who play music at all hours in the morning, or they watch TV, but they don't just keep it to themselves or put headphones on. And that's the thing. There comes a certain time in the evening where whatever activity you're doing, you do it with headphones.
Yeah, I mean, I wear headphones most of the day, to be fair, because I don't think anyone else should have to listen to whatever I'm listening to.
But there like comes a point where if I'm watching TV, for example, the volume goes right down, or possibly I put headphones in, but generally I just turn the volume right down.
Yeah.
And I literally will be, I'll go all the way down until I can't hear it, and then I go up one. So I can literally just hear it. So I'm like, okay, now I know that I'm as low as I can be while still being able to hear it. That is, as far as I'm concerned, as respectful as I could be, is to listen to headphones. But yeah, there comes a point. So yeah, people who do share unsocial, and obviously
I just think that's so unnecessary. It's like those arseholes that get up on a Saturday morning at 7 o'clock and start mowing their garden. Like,
yeah, well, I was going to say,
you've got so much time today, mate. You don't need to be doing that today.
When builders do work around the area, there's this kind of unwritten rule. Well, there's like an unwritten rule that like 8. Generally, it's like you don't work before 8.
Yeah.
But at the weekend, some dick will be like, I'm going to do some DIY. I'm going to get the buzzsaw out at
6 a.m.
7 and 7 a.m. And it's like, zzz, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
What sort of dickhead does that? I know, but it happens a lot. So those fuckers.
They're in room 103.
They're gone.
I've made the switch now, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way too late for the lawyers, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think we butchered it enough. But then we did the whole Jeremy Clarkson thing for ages on that bombshell. So.
Oh, yeah.
That was mainly me, to be fair.
We were the best presenters in the world.
The thing is, it's a good ending, and I don't feel like he should be allowed to keep it to himself.
Yeah, I don't think Jeremy Clarkson should be given credit.
No, but like I think
he's all right.
I think that's how
he's created a persona, hasn't he?
Yeah. What do you think? No, it's a different podcast, isn't it?
Weirdly though, that does sort of feed into one of my room 103s.
Go on then.
Oh, okay, I'll do it. Radio hosts and Twitter celebrities who say deliberately controversial things just to get people engaging.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many organisations that do that. The one that springs to my mind because of who I follow on Twitter is TalkSport.
I was going to say HLTCO and Dan at HLTCO. He talks about, he's done a few podcasts. He's a fellow podcaster.
Oh, you're a supporter, are you? I've not listened to it.
Well, he does a few podcasts where he's actively ranted about TalkSport, and the fact that they deliberately get people on to talk shit. The way he talks about it is he sort of says, "Oh, they get like the fucking stupidest people." But he's like, he want to deliberately talk shit and say something that they know is wrong, just because they get people watching it on Twitter.
Well, the thing is also they get B-level footballers. Do you know what I mean?
Slagging off the top level.
You haven't got Gary Neville on there or someone of repute.
That's Jamie O'Hara. No disrespect to
Jamie
O'Hara.
No, it's legit though, isn't it? I mean,
that was the first person that came to my mind.
They've got Gabby Agbonlahor, who seems to have the personality of a fucking napkin. I don't
know. And Sean Locke, when I went to see Sean Locke live, doing his Purple Van Man, I think, Rippers, and he did a whole bit about it, and he was like, did this thing of like people like Jeremy Vine, and he's like, absolutely, wet himself. He's like, oh, I know what the subject for today is. Like, should teddy bears have genitals? And just watch the phone light up as people phone
no, they
in.
Shouldn't.
And it's that shit that people say. And obviously, that was back when it was radio hosts.
That's something to put in the room, to be honest with you, Jay. If there's any bears with genitals out there, they should be in room 103.
Well, so you just want me to have like nothing in my room? Yeah. You want to take all of them away.
I'm sorry, Jake, if you've been living your life with genital-ridden teddy bears, then I think it's time we ended that.
Wow, I feel like this just became a real personal attack.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to have a word with your parents after this.
No, but they gave them to me. Who's been gave them to me? No, but yeah, no, seriously. And obviously now it's become a huge thing on social media where people literally make careers. And they always did it on like the radio and TV and stuff, but now they're making careers out of just going on Twitter and saying something deliberately contrary. You know, Piers Morgan is an expert at it.
Yeah.
He says something like, I don't believe that he believes half the shit that he says. He just says shit that he knows will split a room and get people jumping in on either side of the debate.
It's funny. I thought Piers Morgan was more intelligent than he actually is. I know, and you used to watching him on Full Disclosure. Yeah, with James O'Brien, and it was like, no, you are just saying shit, and you can't actually. I mean, that might not be the case for all of his thinking, but certainly for some of it.
No, that winds me up knowing. So that's a very serious one that I would put into room 103, hands down.
Right, my next one. I'd like to get rid of the people who go, I'd like to speak to your manager / Karens.
Karens, yeah.
Just get rid of them. Just bin them off.
Yeah.
They're done. I mean, we've all met someone like that. That's like, I need to go talk to the manager.
Have you ever had like a full-on debate with them where they get so huffed and puffed that you're not going to give them their way? And they go, can I have the manager? And you just turn around and go, well, that's me. And they just lose their shit.
I've had it a couple of times. But there was one where it was a Sunday at work and we used to close at 4. And it was my favourite time of the day was getting to stand there and shut the door and watch people walk up to the door and be like, sorry, it's closing time. And there was one time this guy, and he approached the store at like 5 minutes to, and he fucked around outside the store with his kids and their bikes for 5 minutes. And the whole time that's going on, I'm stood at the door telling people we're closing in 5 minutes, and like obviously decreasing down in time to the point where it got to like 4 minutes past 4, and I've now shut the door and I'm only letting people out. And then he tries to come in, and then he tried to guilt me over, I won't feed my children tonight. It was like, well, if you were that
should have come in half an hour earlier,
when we were open. And he was like, and I think he even said like, I want to speak to your manager. Like, I am.
I'm the manager, and we're shut.
Yeah, so I was like, and I had one woman one night that tried to guilt me, and she held her kid up to the door, and she was like, he's going to go cold because of you tonight. And I was like, no, he's going cold because of you.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I would add to that, if I can, and extend it to people that turn up at the last minute, like when you're closing. Because, I mean... They're always the worst people as well. Yeah, when we first opened one of our stores, it happened a lot. And basically, I was one of the biggest ones who was like, well, that ain't fucking happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to get there early, and I'm going to tell everyone to fuck right off.
Yeah.
And they turn up and they're like, because you used to get it sometimes when I was in the clothes shop, and people come in and they'd be like, oh, I just made it. And you're like, well, no, you didn't. And like, because I'm not serving you.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I remember there was one very recently. Actually, there was a guy who I didn't realise because I wasn't in, but he'd taken the piss a couple of times that week.
Yeah,
and he'd come in and he'd gone through all our CDs.
Okay,
and he'd been like 5 past or whatever, 10 past, and it got to like he came in once. It was like 22, 4:45. We shut at 5, and I said to him, "Listen," I said, "before you start going through them, I said if you're not up there paying at 5:02,
yeah."
I'm not serving you anything."
Yeah.
I said, and all you'd have done is gone through all of them, sorted them all out for someone else to come and buy them tomorrow.
Yeah.
I said, because I ain't doing it. Because the days before, he came in and this fucking guy, he just really irked me. Because he came in and he said, and I said to him, oh, we're closing in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, we're closing, we're closed.
Yeah.
And then one of my other colleagues was like, no, seriously now, he's asked you enough times, you need to, do this. And he came up to the till. And he was like, well, there's a couple in there that I'm not sure about if, and I was like, well, we've been open at the same fucking time.
Yeah, you could come at
for like 3 years. Like, don't start talking that shit like it's my fault that you didn't get here earlier.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like, it's not on me. That's
on you.
It's
100%
that's
on the person. You. No, fuck him.
Yeah, one time a guy was actually like, I was literally leaning across the guy turning out the lights on the way out, and he was still trying to ask me questions and stuff. And I was like, well.
The worst one I ever had was Christmas Day, and my store had been broken into, and I'm at the store trying to get the door fixed, the alarm fixed and stuff like that, so I can fucking go home and have my Christmas day. And the front door's been smashed in, so it's glass everywhere. And I would say I must have at least had about 30 people ask me if we were open. But one of them, he walked up. I'm on the phone to like an engineer trying to get someone in. And he leans through the door. He's looks at the floor.
And then tried to walk in.
There's glass. And then, goes to sort of, and I'm like, mate, we're shut. And he was like, well, what happened here then? And I was like, we got broken into,
do you know what?
And then he was like, so what you doing here then? I was like, getting it sorted, mate. And he was like, all right. So he was like, so can I come in and get some bits? And I was like, no, you fucking can't, mate. And at this point, it's Christmas morning. I'm pissed off. And this prick's giving me great. And he's like, I just want to get some garlic, mate, if that's all right. And I was like, no, mate, you're not understanding. Fuck off and go home and be with your family.
Yeah, you're not getting shit. No, and you know what? Just to finish it off, there was one customer recent, again, like just after the lockdowns, and we have like there's like a sort of like double layered entrance to our place. Okay. One of our sites. So there's like gates, like in the main entranceway, and then there's like a driveway type thing, and then gates again. And so they're double gates down at the front, and we had one of the gates shut because it was like, we're closing time. Well, in fact, we're closed, with a big sign on it that said the new opening hours. Because we amended it when we first came out, the first time we came out of lockdown. And great big sign on it, one gate closed, and she got a little car and she drove up through the gap, and she came up and she was like, I was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, we're closed. And she got really aggy with me, and she was like, well, how the fuck was I meant to know that kind of thing? And I was just like,
huge fucking great big sign. I said,
well, you've driven through a closed gate with the opening hours on it, so
yeah,
that was the wrong thing to say, but she got so fucking arsey with it.
Yeah, I fucking hate those pricks.
I'll go for that. Yeah, right. Do you want to do one, or do you want me to do one?
No, you're next, mate.
Right, people who do listen to this podcast. That's it. Just people who do listen to this podcast.
You want to get rid of them?
No. People who do listen to this podcast, but don't rate it on your subscribers and leave reviews, or share the post, or even just do one social media post and tag us in it. Those guys.
Again, I've got a bit of an issue with that one immediately. If you get rid of all of them, we basically have no listeners. I mean, and we don't really
and like
have enough to be losing.
For real, I am genuinely grateful that people are listening, and I really love you all, and really I hope you are all actually enjoying it in some way and enjoying us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers at the moment have been encouraging, so I'd like to think we're doing something right. Right, a big bugbear is people who receive a service they haven't paid for. So, like, for some reason, someone just rocks up at a venue. It might be a cinema, and either
complains about it,
either they take a service for free. Like, we sort of did it once in the cinema. Do you remember when we tried to sit in the seats you pay for rather than not?
Yeah. How can I forget it? You guys never let me forget it.
It was so mortifying. And the thing is, the whole time me and Nash going, we don't want to do this, Jake. We don't want to do this. And the hilarious part is, you're the tiny one. We should have just let you fuck off on your own and get humiliated. Do you know what I mean?
We took a chance. It didn't work.
But do you know what I mean? There's always people out there that for some reason rock up at a place and for some reason get extra. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just hate those people because it's not me. It's never me.
Because I would definitely say, I mean, yeah, like fuck them off then. But I would definitely say people who complain about the stuff when it's like, but you didn't pay for it. It's like, because we do our work, we do a service for people, like in conjunction with the local council.
Right.
Where we give them, basically the council pay for, it's not free, but the council pay for various bits of furniture, in particular like fridges, freezers and ovens.
White goods.
And washing machines, white goods and ovens and stuff. And they're like, don't want it, it's not new. And it's like, you haven't paid for it. Like, this is a free fucking thing. Do you know how much these things cost? Yeah. And you're getting it, even second hand, you know how much they cost. And you're getting it free. And these are, by the way, refurbished items. So, yeah, they're not new, but they are done by a company to a really high standard.
Yeah.
That annoys me. And you get people who go for, like, people who know people. So they've got, like, vouchers for free meals and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll start complaining about like the service or the food and that, and you're like, bro, you haven't paid for it. Like, it's absolutely free.
but they think that's besides the point. They're getting
I
the
just
service.
don't. I just don't know how you can.
I mean, I suppose we could expand it to ungratefulness, but yeah, I think people that just rock up at places and seem to get lucky and get free shit and stuff just handed to them, it pisses me off because it's never me.
Yeah,
so
no,
I don't want anyone to.
I would love an upgrade at a hotel or a. Actually, I did get upgraded at a hotel recently.
I remember once, and it's a vivid memory, and I still begrudge my dad for it to this day. Ended up not having to happen. Rippers.
You're welcome.
Oh, it's just come back to bite me. Although I have rippers my own father to my sister, and she was like, "Dude, that's too soon." Oh, it's never too soon.
Admittedly, he was standing over his body. It was too soon.
I was holding him. Rippers. Oh fuck, man! You've ruined what I was saying.
No,
what was I saying?
You were talking about getting freebies and stuff. I was saying I'd love to get an upgrade.
Yeah, like those pricks that so my dad, that was where I was. My dad, we were on a plane once. My dad has paid for the extra legroom seats for us, yeah. So we're now in the exit seat. So
you're responsible.
Yeah, we've got legs flying, like it's brilliant.
Sounds like my kind of flight.
And then my dad just happens to get chatting to people, it's what he used to do. But he notices there's this ridiculously tall guy, like freakishly tall and lanky. I imagine him back then. He looked like 8 foot, but he probably wasn't, like 6 foot something. And obviously I was smaller.
I'll just say everyone looks like that to me.
True. And the guy was like ridiculously tall. And then my dad offered him my seat.
Yours?
Yeah.
Not his?
No. He was like, well, my son don't need all that leg room, you do. And I was like, fuck are you talking about, Dad? You're sending me off to strangers. He's like, oh, you'll be all right over there. And he fucking sent me,
Wow. How long was the flight?
Well, it was probably to like Greece or Spain, so it was probably a few
about
hours.
4 hours, something like that.
But I remember just sitting there going, oh, fucking joke. And like the bloke offered to pay my dad, and my dad turned him down.
Yeah, but at least he offered.
Yeah, but fuck that guy, man. I remember thinking, my own father.
That's funny.
What would he have done if we were in first class?
No, but
would he have done the same then and sent me back to economy?
Like, I've never had it, but I can imagine full well how fucked off I'd be if I'd paid for a service, like a seat or a room or something. Yeah. And then I was talking, you got talking to someone, like you're on a plane, you've paid for first class or you've paid for the leg room. And you're going to be like, yeah, I didn't pay anything. You're like, fucking motherfucker. I would be so angry.
Yeah.
I'd pay for something that someone else didn't.
Well, it's a bit like, and it will lead me to one of my others, but like fast passes at Disneyland are so unfair on some people, or any theme park. It's not one I want to necessarily
Shrek World.
It's just one I find funny. Shrek World is one of them. I've been there a few times. But it's, those poor fuckers that have stood in the queue that have been there for 3 hours that are watching some walk straight past. So that leads me on to the other one that's on my head, which is fast boarding.
Pointless, isn't it, really?
It just doesn't exist.
Because the plane's not leaving until everyone's on.
Everyone pays for it. So everyone's got fast boarding. How does that work?
But the thing about the boarding thing, the only advantage you get is you get to choose like where you put your bag in the overhead compartment.
Yeah, but
because that's what happened. Like, so me and the football correspondent Ash have literally just been away at point of recording.
Tell them where you went.
We've not long been back. We went to Canada.
Yeah.
Beautiful country. Really like the Canada. Really liked your country. Really appreciate it. But so
have we got listeners in Canada?
Shit, I can't remember if we haven't.
Fucking
we should have,
man. And you should have like hooked up with someone and been like, "Hey, one of our listeners in Canada."
Hooked up. You think I just go around the world sleeping with our listeners? Because I've tried, man, and they do not respond to that.
I was going to say that's exactly the sort of thing we would do.
They do not.
When I meant
hook
up, I meant hook up.
They do not accept those propositions.
Shoot the shit.
But that's one way that we do it. Actually,
While you're sitting down wiping.
We flew, and we were just found ourselves getting really annoyed. Almost perfect for room 103 because there were all these dickheads coming on. It's like, well, that's a suitcase. Like, that's not fucking carry on, is it? And then what happens? Because we're waiting, because we're just literally hanging back because we're like, look, there's no point getting on the plane. It's not going anywhere until everyone's on it. Like, everyone that's already checked in and stuff, not going anywhere until everyone's on it. There's fuck all point getting on it. We're going to be on it for the next, 7 hours, so we might as well enjoy being off it. And then we get on, and there's nowhere to put, so I have to stuff my bag under the seat in front, and now I've got no leg room for the whole time.
I'd have been fucked.
I'm sorry, that's a suitcase, that's a suitcase, that's a suitcase. All of those should be fucking checked.
Yeah.
And so there's one we can add on. People who bring suitcases onto the carry-ons, they really take the piss. And yeah, and all that happened was, I had to put my bag. So all you get is you get to put your bag in the overhead compartment, and you don't get someone else ruining it.
I don't think I've never had that issue myself.
Stewart took pot shots on the way back.
Why?
He was like, you, because he couldn't close the thing, and he had to like turn the suitcase on its side. And he was like, he said if they can't fit upright, they really need to be in the it's about as passive as you'd allow one to be on your job. But yeah, and this one was like, I'm so sorry. And then he sort of said, oh, like that one over there as well. And I was like, I bet that's her fucking husband. And do you know what? When they got off their plane, it was her husband. I was like, these guys have taken the absolute piss with what's a carry on.
Right, this is another one, I suppose, sort of similar. Queue jumpers.
Yeah.
Wankers, a lot of them.
Can I say this about Canada? They love a queue.
Really?
They're not as good at it as we are.
Why?
But they're very enthusiastic queuers.
What, they just queue?
I just get it arse flat face, and there's no like.
Well, the thing
is, with England, it's quite.
I have this image of Canadians that they're quite polite, quite nice, quite friendly, and they're just quite relaxed. They're not rushing around.
We get quite an organised, not organised, an efficient queue. It shapes itself quite nicely, not to take up too much space.
There's the Canadians.
They're quite happy to kind of like queue all over the place, and it's like they're good at they
see that would probably
they
bug
enjoy
me.
it.
I like an orderly queue. I like to know what's going on.
It's orderly.
Yeah.
It's like they enjoy it, but we're better at it.
Okay, we get it done.
But they do love a queue. But yeah, queue jumpers.
Yeah, fuckers.
Yeah, I mean people who just walk up and you're like, and you're literally all there going, if the staff let them in. If the fucking staff let them in,
and then they fucking.
Because you know what? You start counting as well, like particularly if you've queued something, like if you're going into somewhere, and you start getting closer to the front, you start thinking like, oh, how many people in front of me? How many spaces are still in there? And if someone comes in front of you, and you're like, if I don't get in because of them.
Well, it's like there's fucking people who try and push in front of you on a bus as well. That pisses me off.
Yeah, I always stand back and let people just go on.
Well, no, but like for example,
if it's really busy,
like me, my sister, my partner, and my nephew went to see a fireworks display in Banstead, and we had to get a bus.
Oh, Banstead.
Afterwards, we got back to the bus stop before anyone else, and then everyone, me and my sister were like, "No, we're getting on first, man." We got on second in the end, but it was better than what the original outcome was. But yeah, fuckers.
Yeah. Also, I've got a shout out here. The Impractical Jokers, because that was the first challenge I ever saw.
It was the first. It was
genuinely the first one I ever saw, and it's where they all had to. They were in New York in Times Square, and they had to try and get to the front of a queue for tickets for Broadway shows and buy a ticket for a Broadway show, and they all tried different techniques. You know, one of them was like, "Oh, my friend's just down there. Hey, Larry, my friend's down there," and another one. But the one that won, and I have huge respect for this, and he's the only one that got to the front and bought a ticket. Was he just walked through and just went, "Sorry, I don't do queues," and just carried on walking past everyone.
That is huge respect,
and it's the only one that worked because people just didn't know how to process it, and I love it
because it was so honest.
It was brilliant. People just like,
and he didn't give a fuck.
Do we let him? Do we stop him? Like, I loved it.
Yeah, no, brilliant.
I'm all on board. Okay, so a bit of a serious one.
Okay.
Political journalists who don't call out politicians, usually because they want to remain on good terms with them. So particularly when politicians don't answer a journalist's question, or they flat out lie, and the journalist just moves on or brushes past it.
Well, it's a complete failure of journalism, so I would agree.
Yeah, they just annoy me. They can go.
They're a very rare breed now. I don't know many at all. I only really know of one that I follow, and that's James O'Brien, and it's why I quite
Although, do you know what? I've sort of not. Yeah. But I've sort of not gone off James O'Brien, but I've noticed a pattern when I've been watching his videos online, and I've had to stop watching certain types of videos of his.
They drag a little bit. He likes to repeat
I mean, he does
himself.
like to repeat himself. No, what really bothers me is the call-in videos. I can't watch him deal with call-ins because he doesn't let people speak.
No, he doesn't. If he thinks they're talking nonsense, he won't.
But what annoys me is he'll say the phrase, he'll say the phrase like, "The floor's yours," and they go, "Well, James, I think, and he goes, no, and you're like, well, the floor's not really theirs then, is there? The floor's theirs if they say something that you accept them to allow them to say.
But
and it's like, that's not...
If it's something they've already said and they're just trying to say it in a different way normally.
People aren't professional broadcasters. They're not polished broadcasters. It might take them a while to zigzag to the point.
I absolutely agree with you.
You have to let them talk.
I think
and then
he definitely needs to allow them to breathe.
You can take notes of what they're saying and come back to it.
Yeah.
So let them speak for 30 seconds or a minute and then go, well, you said this, and but he just cuts them off too soon.
The only argument I would say, and the only reason I don't mind him doing it, is because time is of the essence on radio.
I get that, but I think he cuts them off too soon, and I can't watch him. It just annoys me.
But I think I think it's deliberate. I think it's by
design.
That
is, by the way, for all the people on there that really, really think of me as a proper liberal lefty snowflake. I'm saying I disagree or don't like something.
He's tearing down James O'Brien. He's against socialism now. Right, I've only got a couple more.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more.
Oh, I don't know if we'll have time for that.
I'll quickly rush through them. You don't have to go through them. People who take phone calls on loudspeaker when they don't really need to.
Absolutely.
Like, fair enough. If you're, is that one of yours?
I put music in loud in public.
Yeah.
Like,
so like
when you're on a bus and some prick's got his phone on.
So like people who are actively doing something and they've got no headphones or whatever and they've got to take it on call because they can't balance it. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. People who just do it on loudspeaker, who just walk around shops and walk around the streets with their phone.
I don't want to listen to you talk to Vicky.
That winds me up. I don't want to be in your conversation. No. People in shops who buy small items with a big note. Yeah, i.e. people who come in and buy like 50p with a £20 note or something, and you're like, you can fuck right off, mate, because that's not happening, is it?
Well, no, the thing is, though,
it's like you're just going to deplete the change because you want some change.
Go to a bank. The only time I refuse to do that is if we genuinely didn't have the change.
Yeah, no, because you're in a position as a shop, you're sort of obliged to do it to get the sale kind of thing. But it just winds me up. It's like, mate, that's a dickhead thing to do. If you just want some change, go to the fucking, go to the bank. Bad Wi-Fi. I know it's still a relatively new thing in terms of the age of man and whatever, but how in 2021 can we not offer good Wi-Fi? I think it has. How can we not offer good Wi-Fi to all areas of the UK? Because there are areas where you just don't, and it's and it's so bad sometimes. It's like I don't know how that inconsistency. People who want to shove their beliefs down your throat or try to save you, i.e., street corner Jesus preachers or the Quran readers.
Couldn't agree more.
I was talking recently to I'd consider them a friend of mine who is religious. Okay. And they were talking about they've just joined a church because their partner goes to the church, and they were like they hate a certain part of it because the pastor there is really like, we've got to go out and save people and push people. And she's like, and some of the people there that I like, she's like, I like them and I'll get on with them, but I fucking can't stand when they do all that shit. Yeah. She's like, because we both agree, it's like, God gave us free will, let God judge.
I think it's quite disingenuous to be that aggressive with it as well.
Yeah. And finally, just to rattle them off, clickbait thumbnails that feature something or someone that makes absolutely no appearance in the article.
Or an exaggeration.
So when they're like 20 celebrities that will shock you to have 20 celebrities who have committed murder that you won't believe, and in the picture is like David Tennant or something, and you read through the article and David Tennant does not get mentioned once. His picture is just in the thumbnail, and I was like, I hate that.
But it's because he's played a murderer.
It's so fake. Well, it's not even that. They just put a picture that I know I'll click on.
That's
I hate that.
No, I completely agree with that. I put selfish parking, which is odd because I'm not a driver, but it does really bug me. Like me and my sister went to, and I'm going to sound posh because she shops in Waitrose and she takes me out with her to go and do stuff. So we went in Waitrose, and when we came out, this prick parked unnecessarily close to the car, so close that I now couldn't get into the car. And I've literally out loud just yelled, "What a prick!" And the poor sod was walking up behind me. But I was like double his size, so he said, "Fuck all." And then if you'd have watched how he had to get into his car, because it was ridiculous. There was no need to do it. And he had there was no one parked the other side of him. So it was, it's pissing me off.
And do you know what? It's selfish parking's going on that. Sometimes when you go somewhere that's quite busy, and you're looking along and people have parked in the middle of between drop curbs, and you're like, if you move up, you can get 2 cars in there or 3 cars in there. You're just taking up the space unnecessarily. I'll go for that.
Fuckers. Another one is people who take up too much space down an aisle. Do you know what I mean? And they do it deliberately. Those people who back up to the complete other side of the aisle, and they're like looking.
Equally, I would say people who walk in the middle of the streets and stuff. Yeah, you're like, fucking pick a side. I want to get round you.
Yeah.
Or people who walk, this is one that pisses me off. People who walk 2 abreast or 3 abreast and then don't condense down when you're passing each other. And for the lockdown, when the coronavirus kicked off and we were all encouraged to social distance, there's a path near me. So when we were still at work in particular, and even on the way down to the supermarket actually, and there's a path that's quite narrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, so I'll just walk in the fucking road then, shall I? Because you selfish pricks don't want to stand one behind each other. And there was actually, when we were going on daily walks, it gave me such, I don't want to say anxiety is the right word.
No, but I get what you mean. It's constantly on your mind.
It really fucked me up so much that I actually, we had to write off a whole section of walking, like a whole path that we took, a whole journey that we took.
Yeah. Because
I couldn't face walking past people who weren't going single file. It was It pissed me off so much and it got in my head so much. And I appreciate that's not healthy.
No, I actually deliberately bumped into someone recently who did that when he just refused to move. And they had so much space on their side and it would have meant me stepping into a main road. And I didn't give a fuck that there was no car
even
coming.
Even if you go one behind each other, you don't have to stop your conversation. You just carry on. Yeah,
it's for 2 seconds.
When you pass someone, it's polite to go one behind.
You can ask my partner. I constantly, and I'll be the one who does it. I don't expect her to move. I'll drop behind her. I'll go over. I'm always the person who does that. So no, fuck them. And probably my last one is noisy chewers. Oh, mate, my dad was one of them. Once upon a time, for certain foods, but the people who like
sounds like you're really hashing out some daddy issues here tonight.
Probably one of the times when I was working, and I often didn't like having a break with anyone else because of this reason. And the thing is, look, I accept the noisy eating thing is actually my issue, that it's not that big a deal. But something about people eating noisily, nothing makes me want to stab someone in the chest.
Depends what it is as well, doesn't it? If it's not a noisy food.
Oh, it was like I was having lunch with this guy at work once, and all he had was a sandwich, some crisps, and a Kinder Bueno. I remember it vividly.
Mate, it's a banging lunch.
And he sat there with his Daily Mirror in front of him, reading the sports pages.
He had me at crisps and a Kinder Bueno. I was in.
And he starts on the sandwich, and then he starts talking to me, but he's on Andrew like. And I literally, eventually, I think after about 10 minutes of this, I just went, "Will you shut up? Just stop."
You really was be 10 minutes. That's very polite, conservative 10 minutes.
Well, the thing is, because I think it's my issue.
Reserved 10 minutes.
I think it's because of the way I was raised, was that you didn't talk your mouth full, you didn't make a lot of noise when eating. But yeah, it just fucking does my head in.
So the one rule, like eating rule, etiquette rule, that I always break, nearly always break, and yet it was taught to me so strongly.
Is it the elbows
on the tables?
Yeah.
I always have my elbows on the fucking tables.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was taught so strongly, don't have your elbows on the tables.
I got hit by a teacher at school once for doing it. She was walking around the canteen with like a ruler or something. And I just kept doing it and I couldn't help. And literally eventually she started whacking my elbows with the ruler.
Yeah, no, and you know what? Like to this day, I always have my elbows on the table.
The thing is, I enjoy eating leaning on the table and
more comfortable. Like,
yeah,
why should it takes some of the strain out of the other muscles in the body? Like, I'm not a very physically active person. If I can reduce that strain,
well, now you're more active.
Yeah, now I am. But if I can reduce that and sort of like lazy up the eating process, I will. The ideal way to not have your elbows on the table is for someone just to feed you.
Well,
but I wouldn't want to give up that control. Food. I've told you before. Food is a very serious thing for me.
Absolutely.
And you don't fuck around with it.
You don't need to get other people involved. You don't. No. Need to be.
Food time is food time.
I agree.
And it's a very personal experience.
I agree.
But I think I would love to hear what you guys think.
Oh shit.
What would you put in room 103? So I'm nailing it now. Where was I at the start of the episode with it? I mean, I could have saved us a lot of lawsuits.
You weren't here. That's all it was.
Thankfully, the BBC, we're defunding the BBC, so we don't have to worry about them suing us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the first time I've ever agreed with it.
Yeah, I'll always agree with you, Jake. I'm here for you. I love you. And
you got your names on the lawsuit as well.
Well, that's it. You're going to drag me down with you, but as long as you pay it,
it's how I go. I don't like to go down solo.
Well, the thing is,
and that's on my Tinder profile.
To be fair, I can't really complain about that either because I'm planning to take you down with me if I'm going to try. So.
Yeah, fuck that, you're killing it. Next time, just getting you sued.
Look, if I'm trying to think of a nice way.
You're committing murder. I'm giving you a nice day out in a court.
Well, just think about it. If I'm going to get hit by a bus or a car or an accident, you're not going to die.
Think about this, right?
You can still milk an accident.
Where would you, if you're going to go out for a nice restaurant and you were going to go out and do something fancy, you dress up in a suit. I'm taking you somewhere you've got to dress up in a suit. Like, technically, it's just a nice date. But yes, I want to hear what you guys think. What would you put into Room 103?
You can do that on Facebook at Crossing Swords, at Twitter at Swords Crossing, on Instagram at CrossingSwords_podcast, or you can email us at CrossingSwords19@gmail.com. And now all of our episodes go on YouTube, whether Jake remembers to press the record button or not.
It's happened before.
That happened with the last episode. But you can find us on YouTube now as well. You just have to search Crossing Swords and the name of the episode and it will pop up. Also, we do tend to post a link most weeks. But guys, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for all the support. Please keep liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. Liking as much as anything, because it makes a massive impact on algorithms and exposure. And
can I just say congratulations to you, good sir, for both of us making it through the episode.
Without insulting a class of people.
Without insulting a class of people, and without suggesting that each other go into Room 103. Neither of us nominated each other.
Well,
and it was a real pitfall that I thought we might fall into.
Although I think there are probably options I could take if you ever weren't here to co-host this podcast with. I don't know if I would choose to have them.
I don't get that choice.
You could go off on your own. You could break free.
Yeah, not from the grave.
No, look, I told you I'm not going to kill you.
Said with all the conviction of a man who's about to kill me.
Well, yeah, once the camera's off. I'm sensible.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Seriously, if you've got any ideas for episodes as well, as you can see, we're scraping the barrel.
Well, no, to be honest, this one was my fault. We were going to do a more serious one, and I was like, oh, do you know what?
You just want in that place.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because that's something I think we encourage on this, is that, you know, if you're not in a certain place or the right mindset, it's perfectly okay to just say, do you know what, let's not do it.
Absolutely.
You got to put yourself first, bro.
That's it.
Apparently you do put yourself first. Way above me.
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm constantly putting you up on this to say you're more intelligent than me.
Literally going to kill me.
If I'm getting a terminal diagnosis. If there's an accident, you get to milk the accident.
I'm driving the bus.
That's fine. You can milk that all you like. I only said terminal diagnosis.
I'll run the podcast from prison. That's fine. If it's prison or death,
that's fine. Right, guys. On that bombshell,
we sidetracked. Oh, why not? If we've done one lawsuit, let's get them all.
Why not? Right,
hang on. What other catchphrases can we milk off?
I don't know. And that's the way it is.
Yeah, garlic bread.
That's not really a catchphrase. It's just a joke.
No, he's not going to sue us for it, is he?
No, I don't think so. Although it would be interesting, should we put that as the name of the episode? Peter K. sued us. Completely has nothing to do with the episode.
No. We should call it Peter. You'll never believe who Peter K. sued, and then not feature Peter K. at all in the article, because
do you know what? We should do that. Actually, that'll be the name of the episode. You'll never believe who Peter K. sued.
And then we can put a picture of David Tennant in the thumbnail, and we're sorted.
You make the thumbnail and send it to me then. Right, guys. Goodbye.
Enjoy.